monster and we're gonna be best friends forever. I am a butterfly. I've done animations for some pretty big clients like Adidas, Cartoon Network, Microsoft, and tons more. The funny thing is, I never actually learned how to animate the proper way. I just sort of taught myself by playing around. In fact, when I started doing it, I didn't even really think of what I was doing as animation. It sort of just felt like I was, I don't know, doing some weird little transition. So let me explain what I'm talking about here. If you are a Mac user and you've downloaded a GIF from the internet and just like double clicked on it and opened it up, it for some reason defaults to preview and you just see all the frames. I remember looking at that and being like, I can see the different movement and there's not that much happening there for the movement to look accurate. At the time I was doing all of my illustration work in Photoshop, and I remember making some simple animated GIFs, just having like, you know, text pop up or something like that from client work when I was a designer. So I was thinking maybe I could make some animations like this and make some GIFs like the one that I downloaded. So I didn't really have an idea, but I just wanted to test it out. So what I did was just like start with a word and then try to like morph it into another word. I don't know why that's what my brain went to for a first experiment, but listen, that's what I did. So I started having a lot of fun with this. It was sort of magic. I think one thing that kept me doing it was the surprise, because I didn't even know how to use like the timeline. I would just go layer by layer, changing it a little bit. And then at the end, I would just send all the frames to like that GIF maker thing, and I would play it and see if it worked. And more often than not, it would be something that was kind of cool. Anyway, aside from the whole learning animation thing, what I'm gonna do today in this video is something that helps me really get through, I don't know, like a little bit of a creative block, or just, you know, help me create something new without having to come up with something new on my own. I let my brain go on a little journey and trick it into making something up. And I do that through the way that I learned animation. I know that sounds crazy, but what I like to do is I just take a simple drawing that I've already done, and then I just go frame by frame and change it a little bit and see where it takes me. I just try to make it loop back to where it started. I don't know if this sounds crazy to you, but it's a lot of fun. I think you're gonna enjoy it. Come with me on this journey. I'm gonna meet you at my iPad. All right. So on my iPad, I've got this weird Garfield-esque doodle that I did, and we're gonna change it. We're gonna do an animation from this with no plan. We're gonna let it take us on a journey. I have no idea where it's gonna go. You don't know where it's gonna go. We're gonna find out. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna click on the little animation thing at the bottom, make a new frame, and we're gonna just change it a little bit. Sometimes, if I don't know what to do, maybe I'll flip it upside down, see if I see anything over here. And you know, maybe I do. Maybe these, what are the jowls? Whatever this is. Do cats even have jowls? We're gonna turn those into arms or something. So I'm just gonna trace over this, and then here, I'm gonna change it a little bit. So I'm just gonna come in here and start making these into hands. So the key is to just change it a little bit, and you'll be surprised how much you can get away with. You can do some pretty dramatic changes and it still looks kind of fine. So maybe we'll start to make this into like a head. So I'm just gonna blow these shapes out. When you're making the same shape but a little bit bigger, you can go pretty big. You can go pretty dramatic there and it'll still hold up okay. So maybe we'll turn these bigger teeth into legs. One thing to think about as you're doing this kind of thing is like you wanna figure out how you can resolve the shapes so they don't just disappear. What I mean by resolve is just like give them an endpoint. For example, this like line that was under those teeth, I wanna get rid of that a little bit. So I'm just gonna make it a little bit shorter here. And then the next time we can get rid of it and it won't look like it just disappeared. It'll look like it transitioned into itself. So I think I wanna get rid of these teeth as well. So I'm just gonna make them smaller. Maybe we will turn these rainbow eye things. Maybe they can be like hair coming on top of this little head thing we got going on here. You may not know this is a head thing, but this is a head thing. Just kind of pull these in. It's gonna be a cool hairstyle. It doesn't look like anything that I would normally draw, and that's kind of the point. I mean, not that it has to look very different, but it's just like making me think of something that I wouldn't have already thought of. Another thing that I'm seeing right here is as this shape is getting bigger, we still have this shape, which kind of looks like a nose. So I may leave these lines here, and then maybe that can become the nose for this this face. Then maybe we can trace over those lines. And now we've got something that those eyes can open. Am I making any sense? Okay. So we got this other stuff here, and I don't know what to do with it. Those like stripes in the ears kind of look like teeth. Maybe we'll just lean into that. Like maybe this is a mouth, and we can have them start to come together like this. These can get trippy and weird, and that's kind of the point, I think. I mean, I don't know if it's the point, but I like that aspect of it. So I'm thinking doing this they will kind of come together into a mouth at some point. And maybe this can just be like another head up here, so we can have this start to come together. I don't know. You don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I think I just want to get rid of this other stuff here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of pull these in smaller and bring them closer together. And then we can kind of have them get smaller and smaller each time. And we can just kind of shorten this line a little bit to have it slowly go away. And for this outer eye area, I'm just going to make it smaller and come into this, be part of this hairstyle that maybe you don't know about yet. So now, as we scroll through this, you can see it starting to happen. So even with just one frame, we turn off the onion skin so we can see what's happening. You see it's an animation, right? I don't know what this is. I also like to change this down to one frame so we just see this new starting point. So it's like, okay, this is where we are. This is what we're starting with. Let's see where it can go. Kind of looks like a lion. Pretty neat, right? Okay. What are we gonna do with these arms? Maybe they're gonna start to come together like that, right? We're just seeing where this takes us. It's a journey. And then I thought that these were gonna start to be legs, right? So I want them to start being feet. So I'm just putting a little start to that there. Maybe these lines can continue here and start to be like the waist of this creature. I think I'll just do a little bit of those triangles, just so they don't seem like they disappear abruptly. I forgot about this weird mouth thing over here. We're gonna do a smear. A smear is an animation term for a blur of motion that happens across one frame. If you've never looked up animation smears online, I highly recommend it. SpongeBob has lots of good ones. What I'm thinking is I'm gonna just kind of pull this mouth like in a dramatic movement like this. I don't know if this is even a smear, but it's kind of a big movement. It's probably not that big of a movement, but I think we'll do something like this. And I'm just gonna sneak these little triangles in. And this is like a monster head. I don't know what this monster is gonna do, but it's part of this. Maybe these triangles can become horns on this little monster. You ever think about that? Did you ever think about that? And we go next, and this is what how did we get here? This is what we're drawing. This is what we're doing. And we started with that weird Garfield, and now we're here. Okay, what are we gonna do with this? Let's bring this monster to fruition. So I'm gonna do a pretty dramatic movement here. I'm just gonna pull like this, and then get this funny mouth in here with the fangs, and maybe we can just have the eyes open now. Like they're just popped open and they're like, I'm here! And let's start to get these things attached. I think I'm gonna extend this a little bit more so it gives a little bit of a motion situation where the line gets really dramatic. That's kind of a smear technique where you just extend it through the whole transition, and then it will look like a little bit of a blur when it gets into its spot. I hate this nose, by the way, but it's okay. This is the weirdest face I've ever drawn, and I'm not in love with it, but it's what happened. I didn't choose this, it chose us. We're putting a little smile here, and it's looking up because it's like, oh, I love that little monster up there. That's what this is saying. Look at this face. I would never draw something like this, but I feel like it looks like a style of something. Maybe the hands are gonna come together and it's gonna try to catch that monster? I don't know. Is that what's gonna happen? Because that monster looks like it's falling. So I'm just gonna widen the body a little bit here and then extend these legs. And now they can be legs on their own. What does that mean? They can be legs on their own? And then I'm just gonna have those little triangles just almost be gone. So let's see. That's what we did. So we could play this and it's already a thing. It's not necessarily a good thing, but it's a thing. And like, this is how I learned how to animate. I just did weird stuff like this. I still do weird stuff like this. And let's figure out what these horns look like. I think that I don't know. Who knows if they're even horns? Maybe they're ears. But that's what they look like. This character is starting to get happier as it sees this thing's about to fall. So the smile's getting big. We're getting some cheek lines here, and the eyes are getting bigger because it's so excited. It's like, I'm sort of a lion and I'm gonna catch this monster and we're gonna be best friends forever. It looks like a weird troll or something. The cool thing too about this is you can do bad drawings in here and it doesn't matter because they're just gonna be flashing on the screen real fast. Like this is a hot mess of a drawing, but hey, it doesn't matter. Also, it's not about the drawing, it's about the journey. You ever think about that? About the journey of the drawing? I don't know what's gonna happen after this monster gets caught, but that's something we're gonna find out. Okay, so I'm gonna do this as a fast, crazy smear. We're gonna go like this, make it all like real stretched out in the hands, and then have the arms come down a little bit so it kind of looks like there's weight to this monster. So the arms drop down a little bit to get full catch leverage. The cool thing is it's gonna look like we don't have to follow what's happening. Like when we go to the next frame, it's just a fresh start. I'm thinking about this sequentially when I was talking about this, the weight and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. We can go wherever we want. When I do these smears, I like to stretch out the pupil like this. Look at how weird this is. Okay, let's play it because why not? You can see it goes up and then comes down real fast, which is kind of cool. So here, we'll make a new frame. Like we could this is where we are. We could work with this and see where this takes us. So let's do that. Let's pull this body in and just make this become a new creature, if you will. Maybe I'll do like a shut mouth, but we'll have it be based on those triangle teeth. I guess the technical term would be fangs. And then we can take these hands and then turn them into like a, a what? Me? And you know, I think this character is kind of cool. This is not something that would have necessarily, no, I definitely wouldn't have made this character. Well, we got these like squiggly lines. Maybe it is gonna be like a wing. It's like, it's a butterfly wing. We made a butterfly. Never thought we'd get to a butterfly, did you? Here we are, basically Butterfly Nation. Maybe the arms can come out like this to show off the wings. But because this is like a big movement, I'm gonna do another smear trick with some repetition. So I'm gonna do like some extra lines. So eventually I'll want to get back to the initial state, so it's this sort of weird loop. So what I'll do for that is I will duplicate that original frame, drag it to the end, and then I'll make a new frame here, and then you'll start to see where we are and where we want to get to, and you can start moving things to get us back there. And by moving things, I mean just like trying to get our shape to fit to that shape. You'll see. But I'm not ready yet, so I'm gonna add in a blank frame so that I'm not looking at that other thing. And I'm gonna just try to draw this butterfly man in his, I don't know, in all his glory. With outstretched arms, I think. With arms wide open, I am a butterfly. Oh, I really got taken over by the spirit with that song. One thing we could do, because it has wings, we could just make it fly away off the screen and then have the other face pop right in. And then that would be, you know, a way to have it loop. But I don't think I want to do that. I don't want it to fly away. I want it to just morph in a weird way. I like these things to be as weird as possible. Let's bring it back home. Let's bring it back. So what do we have here that is working? So one thing I see right off the bat is these ear horn thingies are the similar shape to the things in the ears. So I'm gonna pull this over like this and have these start to come down to form those shapes. We could blow these eyes right out like this. We'll do a big motion and a smear. The combined animation and smear together. That's not really how you do it. And there's no pupils on the weird Garfield, so I'm gonna just have this eye start to become that shape. That's weird. I like that. And then we can just sort of widen the head a little bit to start to become the rest. So maybe we go back into how we got to this character and start to bring these in to become those Garfields. It's kind of a big movement, so I might just do some little bonus lines there. And then I'm going to take these teethuses and kind of start to stretch them out to become the other teeth, like that. And then I'm just gonna make this wing shape become closer to the shape of the Garfield head. And we're just eventually gonna make them go away. So we got a new frame here, and now look, we're almost there. So I'm going to try to follow this arm motion that we were doing to kind of pull this in and then start to line up with the jowlage, and then can we start to just pull these toofuses to the toofus spot like that. And I'm gonna just have the top start to bubble a little bit for the that nose part. Look at this, we're almost there. And then here we can just shorten these even more. And you know what? This line could become that line underneath the teeth. And then this is close enough that we can just kind of close that up. We can start making these wiggle lines, maybe just get a little sharp so they can become the triangles. Sharp, I just mean thicker is what I mean. That's not the same thing. We're just kind of blowing up the line a little bit. It'll eventually be stripes. So the eyeballs, this, we're just gonna go straight to the shape of the Garfield eyes because we were just about there anyway. Okay. This is close enough that I can be okay. And then let's say this line here can get a little bit wider and and it can eventually be those little triangle things. Make that line accurate. These can pop down and then we can have it start to be closer to become that line for the ear, and then we can just have another thing pop out like that. You just make it up as you go. As long as it's like relatively close, it's gonna look believable because it's like a split second. Your brain can't understand it. Look how close we are to Garfield. I don't know, it's not really Garfield. So this line down here, I said we're gonna use that, so I'm gonna start there. I'm just gonna make this, we are so close. All right, I'm just gonna come in here, draw this heart nose. Basically, you just kind of go around looking for the things that are already where they need to be, and then just move what already exists to be closer to where you need it to go. If that makes any sense. I can't tell. So like, you see this purple line and the green line, I'm just gonna draw a line kind of halfway there. Not quite halfway, but you know what I mean. And then whenever there's like lines like this, I'll usually just have them start to get thinner or shorter. Okay, so we're pretty much there. There's a couple things that we need to initiate so they don't just flash on the screen. And those are those little dots, the cheek dots. So I'm just gonna put smaller dots right there, and then they'll just look like they naturally pop in. So we might not need another frame, but we can test it. So that loop's pretty good. And what I like to do is have it stay on the frame a little bit longer. Usually I'll have like 2 positions where it like holds, and you don't want to just duplicate that frame because then it'll lose that wiggle, that, you know, that movement, that energy. So what I'll do is I'll just trace one of the frames that I want to hold on twice so that I have a 3 frame sequence, and then I can duplicate that sequence as many times as I want depending on how long I want to hold it on the screen for. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you where we ended up.
One eternity later.
And there it is. I think it's kind of fun. It's a little quick. One thing that you can do when you start doing this and maybe something is moving faster than you want it to, or you want to slow it down a little bit, you just come to the spot where you want it to like slow down a little bit, and then you just like add in an extra frame, and then you draw like an in-between for that spot, you know? Draw in between the 2 spots. That's gonna make that movement a little bit slower, and then you can sort of play around with the speed for how things move. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a lot of fun to do this kind of thing. You should play around and do it. I gotta say, if you're new to motion, once you start making something move, it can be pretty addicting. But I've got the perfect video for you, especially if you're using Adobe Fresco, because in Fresco, there's so many built-in motion tools that make it so easy and intuitive to just like draw a path and have things follow the path. It's super easy. You should check out that video now, and you'll be ready to take over the world and do tons of animation for big clients or for yourself for fun. Good talk. Thanks.